Hey yogis, I'm Kelsey Yogi on YouTube and on Instagram, and today I want to help you get a little bit more comfortable, a little bit more lengthened in your forward fold. So it doesn't matter if you want to work in seated or standing, we'll kind of cover both. But the first thing that I want you to do before you go diving into your fold is to get the legs warmed up. So it doesn't matter if you're doing your workout first or if you want to do some sun salutations, but this is also a really great exercise to incorporate before you start really lengthening the backs of your legs. And it's just toe raises. So just lifting up onto the balls of the toes, raising the heels up. We're bringing a lot of heat to the back sides of the legs. And that heat is fresh, new blood, increasing that circulation, getting them nice and warm, and now they're gonna be ready to lengthen for you. So your number is gonna vary. Start with 20 and work your way up slowly so that you can do more and more, not only building strength through the legs, but also getting you really ready to stretch them out. All right, so once they're warmed up, let's just go ahead and get right into our forward folds. Let's start with standing. It's up to you if you want the feet to be hips width and parallel, which is not very wide, only about 2 fists width, or if you want the feet together. Now, really the only thing that matters there is the balance. So if you're feeling very balanced, feet together. Otherwise, parallel is totally fine. The first thing you're going to do is notice the hinging that happens at the hips. So we're not just stretching out the hamstrings, but we're allowing the hips to be a part of this. They're going to start that hinge for me. And once we get past that 90-degree line, now I have to start thinking about compression. Compression between the low belly and the tops of the thighs, and that strength comes from the hips and the hip flexors. All right, so now you are engaging the hips. Obviously the backs of the legs are already starting to open and lengthen. The next tip that I need for you to try out is to suck that low belly in. We all have it, so don't feel frustrated or like, what the heck? We all have that low belly. It doesn't matter what your shape is. So really suck that belly button towards the spine. And then as you do, think about diving your lowest ribs up and over the tops of your thighs to find a little bit of a deeper space here. And with the belly sucked in, you'll have a bit more room. So keep that belly scooping and hollowing. The next tip that I want you to think about, so the backs of the legs are really heated and warmed up, number one. Number two, you're getting that compression, that strength from the hips, not just from the hamstrings. Number three, we're scooping the low belly, creating space. And now we are going to engage the quadriceps. So you cannot ask the hamstrings to open if you don't ask the quadriceps to engage. The muscles always work in pairs, and the hamstrings and the quadriceps are no different. We want the hamstrings to open and lengthen. We have to ask the quadriceps to engage and tighten. Now, if you're like, I don't really know how to engage my quadriceps, think about lifting the kneecaps. All right, so here we are. Hips are high, low belly is scooping. I'm diving my ribs up and over the tops of my thighs. Engage those quads, so lift those kneecaps up. And then find a bit of a deeper forward fold. Every inhale, lengthen. Every exhale, deepen. So don't just land in your forward fold and say, good enough. If you want to advance, you have to continually be pushing that edge, looking for a little bit more. So when you're standing, there is a little bit more of a balance issue, but you have the ground, and use the strength of your fingers, not only pushing against the ground, but gripping it. So suck that belly in, dive the ribs up and over, press at the hips, and really engage the quadriceps so the hamstrings can open to their fullest ability. And then another thing to think about is that we're not rounding the spine, but we're lengthening it. So you see what a difference there is there? Rounding, and while that serves a great purpose, not so much for what we're going for today. So here's rounded, here's lengthened. So low belly pulls in, and think about reaching with your chest or with your chin and not with the crown of your head. So we're folding, and I'm trying to get my chest closer to my thigh or to my calves. Now, of course, I can't do that, but that's just the energy, the direction that I'm working towards. And then I can use the strength of my arms to pull myself in. And if it gets uncomfortable, you have your breath. So use your breath and stay with it, letting that discomfort kind of settle in and then dissolve. And if you stay here for a little while, just run those checkpoints. Are my hips compressing? Are my quadriceps engaged? Is my low belly hollowing out? And you might find a little bit more length still. Now let's go ahead and come down onto the floor. So that standing forward fold is Uttanasana, And the seated forward fold is Uttanasana. And the nice thing about doing it down on the floor is, for one, there's no balance issue. And two, you can use a bit more of a prep. So I have my yoga block here, and the nice thing about this is you put it right past your feet, and you can use it to help lengthen and find a bit more reach through your arms. So I can grab this edge, lengthen a little bit more, lengthen a little bit more, always helping to push that edge to find a little bit more stretch through the backs of the legs, and getting a little bit stronger here through the hips. Another option is to use a strap or a necktie. So I have a strap handy, and say you're right here. That's just fine. That's okay to be up nice and high, but engage those quads, suck the low belly in, think about lengthening the spine, and use your strap to slowly pull yourself in a little deeper and a little deeper. And once you're there, soften your shoulders and find that compression through the hips. Open the backs of the legs by engaging the front side. Keep that belly scooping in. And with time, in a consistent practice, you'll find a deeper and a deeper forward fold. But keep showing up, be consistent, and be patient. It takes practice and it takes time. One other thing that I may not have mentioned is when you're seated, make sure that those toes flex back towards the face. We don't ever want to have soft feet, but engaged. And the reason why you need to do that is because it keeps the entire back side of the leg involved. We don't want it to all come from the top of the hamstring, and that's how you're going to get that hamstring tear, is if you're saying all the work needs to come from right here. So flex the feet back, engage the entire leg, and keep those hamstrings safe when you're working those forward folds. There you go, guys. Hopefully you got a nice tip or a trick to really lengthen and engage, finding a deeper forward fold. I'm Kelsey Yogi. Make sure that you subscribe if you haven't already. I would love to have you practicing with me. I'm uploading videos all the time. Give me a like, that way you can come back here, share it with your friends. You guys are the very best. Make sure that you drink your water. Have a beautiful day. Namaste.